As we experience our final week of the Lenten season, this Holy Week, I chose the Passion Chorale, better known as O Sacred Head Now Wounded, as our hymn for this week. We have already learned the stories behind the writings of Tell Me the Stories of Jesus, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, Beneath the Cross of Jesus, Jesus Keep Me Near the Cross, and now O Sacred Head Now Wounded. O Sacred Head Now Wounded is by far the most passionate of all the Lenten hymns. The true origin of this great hymn is somewhat uncertain. Some sources suggest its origin to have begun in the 11th century, while other sources direct us toward the 13th or 14th century. Prevailing thought attributes the text to Bernard of Clairvaux, who lived between 1091 and 1153. He was a spiritual leader held in the highest esteem by many, including Martin Luther. The Latin text consisted of 7 parts, identifying different parts of the body: feet, knees, hands, sides, breast, heart, and head, intended to be sung for each day of Holy Week. Some of the original verses were later translated by Paul Gerhardt around 1656 and later translated by James Alexander around 1830. Alexander actually translated Gerhardt's German text into English, where the original text had 8 verses. Paul Gerhardt struggled through numerous unfortunate events in his life, including the death of both his wife and children, as well as his removal from the Lutheran Church, though he would later return. The 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648 tested many beliefs in God and Christianity and had a profound impact on hymn writing. After the war, reliance on an omnipotent God for comfort and consolation was written in many hymns of the period, producing expressions of Christian devotion and individual self-consciousness. The melody of O Sacred Head Now Wounded was written in 1601 by German composer Hans Leo Hassler. The hymn tune is often referred to as the Passion Chorale. It was during the 18th century that the great composer of the Baroque period, Johann Sebastian Bach, harmonized this hymn and used the time in many of his own compositions. The setting most familiar to us, used in the United Methodist Hymnal, was adapted from one of Bach's settings found in his monumental Passion According to St. Matthew. An interesting note about the sacred music of the Baroque period is that the entire worship services were entirely music. No readings, no sermons, but pure, uninterrupted music from beginning to end. Now, Bach was not only the organist and choir master, but also an accomplished composer in his own right. Not only did he have to be able to play and teach the music for each service, but he had to compose such major works on a weekly basis. Johann Sebastian Bach is one of the greatest composers of all time, and certainly one of my personal favorites. A great majority of the music is sacred that he wrote, including the familiar Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, which is used in a lot of wedding ceremonies. Bach was one to use great ornamentation in many of his works, including many trills, turns, and mordents. Some of his other more famous works include Prelude and Fugues, 2-part inventions, 3-part inventions, well-tempered clavier or clavichord, performed on either the clavichord or the harpsichord. Others include his 8 little organ suites and Bach's dynamic cello suite, which is beautifully performed by Yo-Yo Ma and also more recently by the Piano Guys. And let us not forget the Brandenburg Concertos. I invite you to explore and discover some of these great works that I've mentioned by Johann Sebastian Bach. Finally, I want us to remember that O Sacred Head Now Wounded is a hymn for Holy Week, a time of reflection on what Christ has done for us, giving his life for all of us. Specifically, this hymn is about the crucifixion, that we remember his pain and suffering on that dark, dreary day, Good Friday. I hope that you have enjoyed learning the history of these Lenten hymns these past few weeks, and perhaps you may experience these beautiful hymns in a more meaningful and passionate way.